If you're passionate about change and love a good laugh, then you need to join Chuck and Joe. Chuck and Joe are a dynamic husband and wife duo, tackling the biggest issues across the nation and around the globe. With a blend of wit and wisdom, they dive deep into current events, giving you the lowdown with a side of humor. They're not just talking heads, they're your fellow freedom fighters, committed to sparking meaningful conversations. From politics to social justice, no topic is off limits. So hit that subscribe button and join the freedom fighter community today. Let's laugh, learn, and fight for a better world together. Welcome to the Freedom Fighters podcast, where serious meets funny, just like Chuck and Joe.
Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. This is Chuck and Joe and the Freedom Fighters podcast. Welcome. A little tongue-tied tonight. Forgive me. I've got a terrible cold. If you can't understand me, I apologize. I'm not feeling very well today, and my voice is, I'm losing it. That's what I'm doing. So if you find it, could you send it back? I'll pay for the mailage, please. Just let me know. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. First of all, I would like to tell everybody thank you for all your wonderful comments. I've enjoyed them. I've tried to write everyone back. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Chuck and I appreciate it, and we're working on making the podcast more professional each and every time. Bear with us. We're older. All you Generation Sixers, I appreciate your continued involvement and you passing this podcast on to other people, as well as everyone else, baby boomers, all the way to the new generations. Thank you. And I don't want you just to comment down below, folks, on good things. You can tell me things that need to be improved. Always open to that. I always say that if you don't learn something every day or make something better, then you're truly not learning. You're being bored. If you would do me a favor, though, if you could hit that like button and subscribe, I would appreciate it. If you don't want to subscribe, at least hit the like button so we can get these messages out. I would truly appreciate it. And again, thank you to all the freedom fighters out there. We're going to change America together. Let's get started. I want to bring you a few things from around America tonight. Turns out that there were some drones in Texas that people had some excitement today. And it turns out that Texas had to close down El Paso airport for a while. I've got the feeling by watching and reading through several different sites that they think, and this is a thing, pretty sure, but they think that these are coming from the cartel, these drones. But what they're afraid of is that these drones can get caught real easily in one of the plane's wings in the motor, and it can cause devastation. It can kill everybody on board and all the people where the plane would crash. So this is a very dangerous situation. The cartel knows that, and they had to shut the airport down for a while. And when I say they, I mean the military. And this just tickles me. I try to joke with you guys, off and on, but you can't write this stuff. Instead of just hitting the thing and blowing it up, I don't know, I just pictured a little bit of gun and, a little bit of practice shooting or something, depending on how big they are. I guess they're pretty good size, but the American military decided to take it into their own hands. Thank you. We do appreciate you. However, I've got to say, how they shot it down is very impressive. Sure not to miss. The military directed an energy weapon, folks, and shot that little stinker right down. Better known as a laser, for those of you who don't know what that means. So it turns out that the military is now having drone practice with their laser. I don't know about you guys, but I want to go watch this. Sounds like some popcorn would be called upon and a lot of laughs. Moving on. I want to thank Matt and MattMorseTV. I love the way he handles things, And if you've never been able to watch Matt, please jump out there and watch his podcast. He's a little rough around the edges, but very, very smart. Brings the news to you well. And I learned a lot from him. He talked about the shootings today in British Columbia, mass shooting. If you don't know about that, there were 10 killed so far that we know of in this shooting. They're seeing that it was DIY related. And, this is happening not just in Canada, folks, but in Europe and the U.S. also. We need to talk to our children. It's sad, very sad. So I wish that you would pass on some prayers. I know it would be appreciated for the people of Canada and British Columbia, and of course, other nations also. We don't need these shootings. And you young people, please reach out and ask for help before you do something so serious. You're not only ending your life, but you're ending the lives of people that have not chosen the same course that you have. They deserve to have that. Anyone who needs help, please, I ask that you go for help. It's out there. Just get on your phone, get on with any hospital, or even 911 if you have to get a number. I know that depression's a hard thing to go through, and America does support you. Let's bring the shootings down and bring love back into our communities, everyone, from the baby boomers down. Next, I want to talk about my favorite subject. Everyone that's been watching me knows. It's called the American Save Act, the Save Act, okay? I want to tell you something that is so absolutely funny. Of course, I'm political minded. You have no doubt in knowing that. Last night while I was fixing supper, I got a phone call. And we've been getting bombarded with these phone calls about changing our insurances because we're older. Well, sorry, we don't have Medicare yet. So we're kind of aggravated. Well, I answered this phone kind of rude last night, and come to find out, they were doing a survey on political issues. Go figure. My husband was like, oh no. Chuck's like, oh boy, they're going to get it. Well, it was about Indiana, folks, and I had a lot to say. I believe in the SAVE Act with all my heart, because for you that don't understand the SAVE Act, which is where I'm going with what I'm going to tell you about Indiana, the SAVE Act says that everyone should have American citizenship and an ID when they go to vote. The bottom line of it. I believe that with my whole heart. It's not to push anybody out. It's not to treat anybody different. But folks, if you vote in the United States elections, then you certainly should be a citizen, and you should show who you are. Our elections are being taken over by people who don't deserve to vote in our elections, and not just immigrants. I'm talking countries, so that they can decide who's ruling us. It's not fair. It's not what our country was built on. We're a republic. We vote who we want in. Congress, the president, they all work for us. We don't work for them. So remember that, folks. We need to push the SAVE Act through. And we all know that Congress is voting on this week. Thorne, I've sent you several messages. You're not from Indiana, but you heard from me. Please get this on the floor. 81% of Republicans in America want this bill to be put through. 65% of all Democrats want this put through. That means 85% of all Americans from both parties want this put through. There is no reason, Congress, Senate specifically, why this act should not be put through. The people want it. We want it. It is not your choice and your right to do what you want. You need to do what we want. We put you there, and we certainly can take you out. Soon get it on the floor. And if you can't do that, you enact a filibuster. I know y'all can talk. Get out there and talk your little behinds off, okay? We want it on the floor. So where I was going with this SAVE Act is, after I've now told you my little spiel there, they were asking about issues in Indiana. They were specifically, when it got down to it all, asking about Travis Holdman, who is one of our senators, and Blake Fichter, who actually lives in my county. And I know who Blake is, and I know Blake. He actually is running against Travis Holdman. Travis Holdman got me my second job ever when I was young. I worked at the Department of Division, the Division of Family Children. It was called the Department of Public Welfare back then. Actually got me my first job. I really liked Travis, still like Travis, but I do not like what he's doing in the state of Indiana. They asked, and so I told. I did tell them. They asked what the most important issue was. You know, if it could be brought up on the floor today, what would I say it would be? Of course, I said the SAVE Act, and I just explained why. They got an earful, by the way. They also asked what my thoughts were on Trump and immigration and economy. First of all, I said I love Trump. I backed him in every way. I said I'm not a Republican. I'm a MAGA. And being MAGA does not mean we don't love everybody. I'm so tired of stereotypes. We're going to do a video on that also. But anyway, to move on, they ask about immigration policies. I said I'm all for immigrants living in the United States. I just want them to be legal. And if you look at the polls, 72% of all immigrants that are here legally want the immigrants that are here now to be here legally or to be deported. Now think about that, Democrats. Then maybe you could get some better support. And then they got into Travis Holdman and, of course, Blake. Okay. And he said, if the elections were held today, would you vote for Travis or would you vote for Blake? I said, well, of course I would vote for Blake. I don't want Travis in there at all anymore. And then we got down to the roots of it. They were telling me what Travis did and asking me if I agreed or strongly disagreed or strongly disagreed. Agreed, you know how that goes. Strongly agreed being the top one, strongly disagreed being the bottom one. There were 4 choices, you know, the 2 in the middle. And I said, absolutely strongly agree that I would want Blake in there. And I said the reason being the SAVE Act. Travis had a part in there that they asked us about where he told us, I don't know how this is a question, but it was written to the degree of something like this. Travis Holdman stands up on all issues for the farmers, for Americans, for President Trump, which is absolutely not true, by the way. However, that being said, they said that he always stood up and voted how he wanted, and it didn't matter what anybody else wanted, that he voted the way the American people wanted. Well, Senator Travis Holdman from Indiana, I call bullcrap on you. Okay? I call bullcrap. And that's what I told them. You do not vote for Indiana. Indiana, by far wants the SAVE Act. You need to make Thune pass the SAVE Act or get the filibuster going. One or the other, because you're not doing what we want. Now, it irritates me highly. Don't have people call me if you don't really want the answer, sir. So go back to your little office, whether it be in Indianapolis or whether it be in Washington, and do what we, the people, want, not what you, Travis Holdman, wants. And Blake Fichter, I hope when you get in there that you hear this too. We want you doing the right thing also, which I'm sure that you will. Now, to tie this all together, the little guy on the other end of the phone, he said, you keep bringing up this SAVE Act. I'm like, yeah. I said, well, are you political? He said, yes, ma'am. He said, but what is it? And I about fell off my seat. I said, they don't make you guys know what some of these things are as you're writing them out. He said, no, ma'am, I don't usually get history lessons on them while I'm taking your information down. But he said, I sure appreciate it. I said, well, I'm sorry if you don't want people like me on the phone. He said, no, we absolutely love people like you. Well, to that little young man. I hope that your night got better. I hope you learned what the SAVE Act was. And if you live in Indiana, I sure hope you vote for Blake Fichter. Just a little vote in there for a man that I think will do us a great job. Travis, you're still my friend. But do what's right. Thank you. Moving on. The next thing I want to talk to you about is Minnesota again. And yeah, we've all heard the stories time and time again, but we need to keep hearing them. Because Americans, what they're not telling you on TV, on, the regular channels, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, NBC, whatever, I call them out to do a better job. Because there is so much fraud there and waste that I can't even begin to give you numbers. And this could go on for years, that we could take every day and discuss one of the organizations or one of the people or one of the administrations or whomever that's frauding our government there. So I was listening to Stephen Gardner tonight on a show. And if you have never watched Stephen Gardner, I recommend you watch him also. He was also talking about this, and he was talking to Kelly Loeffler. I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong. But she is let me get this right, folks. She's the Small Business Administration leader. Okay. And she told us that California borrowers, now I'm talking about California for a second, are suspected of committing $8.6 billion in pandemic era fraud. Now, I didn't say millions. I didn't say thousands. I said billions. It's ridiculous, folks, and that's our tax money. No wonder they can't get other programs going. No wonder California didn't end up with their railway, never got started. No wonder none of the homeless, and I mean none of the homeless's money that was sent there by the federal government was ever instituted, put in, even a tent put up for the homeless people. It was sent to NGOs so that the NGOs could then cipher it through and bring it back to politicians. And then they could buy whomever they wanted in the Senate, the Congress, wherever, protesters, to get through what they wanted. Now, Kelly goes on to say that people in Minnesota and California have received paychecks during the pandemic era, through the Paycheck Protection Program, it's called the PPP, and through the Economic Injury Disaster Loans, the EIDL. Loans totaling that $8.6 billion that I told you in fraud. This is being done all over, not just Minnesota, not just California. They're just the big ones. California being the king of all. Well, she said that the fraud is so big in the United States that they are absolutely going to have to go state by state to check into every small business loan that was given during the pandemic era and so on. And this is just one area, folks, that they're looking into. One area, $8.6 billion, her small business area. But they're going state to state, and they're going to be finding out in your state, whatever state you live in, what the fraud and the abuse and the waste was, and they're going to fix it. Now, at the end of this, when she said what they're doing in the process, because there's so much fraud, is they go in and they get all the facts first, obviously, and they see what is systemic. They hired a company called Palantir to help, which I'm not real fond of Palantir, but that's all right. That's a whole nother show. And through all the states, they find what fraud is and where it's occurring. Okay. Then they begin to track this in millions of databases, millions, absolutely millions of databases. And then they bring them all together to find the data points. And then they route how they're going to do it in each state with fraud, waste, abuse, and then whatever else comes under there. Palantir can do this much faster than obviously just our auditors. But thank you, Kelly Loeffler, for what you're doing and for your team. America needs these things straightened up. And at the end, they're actually going to have a process so that this never happens again. So that if there's ever a pandemic again, we have, well, at least something to follow. I'm sure we'll always be able to make things better, but at least we'll have a ground system and know where to begin, right? Hopefully. All right. I'm going to move on a little bit, folks. Let me just switch my books around here. I have too much going on today. Forgive me. I want to talk to you now about some things that I've been reading about. And the best broken down way to explain it is what I heard from Promethean Action. Barbara is great at explaining things, and Susan also. But I believe this particular one was done by Susan. However, what I'm going to say to you first is if you haven't seen Promethean Action or haven't joined Promethean Action, please get out there and join it. It is a nationwide podcast that these ladies started in 1976, and they're two older ladies. And they have been all over our government. They know our government inside and out. And I'm going to tell you, I've learned things that I never dreamed I would know, and rather easily because they bring it across great. So if you don't understand anything that I'm going to try to teach you here, go and watch their podcast. And even if you do understand it and you want to hear more, go to their podcast. They want you to come. Now, I'm not getting anything for promoting them other than I can tell you that it's a great American podcast. They believe in the American people and they want what is best for America. So please, if you can, give Barb and Susan a hey over there and tell them that the Freedom Fighters podcast sent you. Now, what I'm going to talk about is called the global economic model. Basically what that is, the global economic model, I call it the deep state. I don't really think that that's what a lot of people call it because I don't believe in it, but it is called the deep state. But, you know, we always hear about the one world order. Well, this is your one world order, folks. They wanted to bring all the world together. You know, I don't really understand how they're going to get one dictator, but bring all the world together, have one world court, one world health system, one world God. That's right. You heard me. God. And make us follow it. It's one of the things we're fighting, folks. Take this serious. Okay. Now, I explained a little bit to you in my past podcasts. If you haven't watched them, I encourage you to do so. You learn a little bit more. But what the global economic model has always given us is forever wars and dictator changes that have killed millions. That's why when Trump says a new world order, he means that world order out, and he means peace, folks. Peace. And the European Union is not our friend. I'm just going to tell you that now. The second thing that they've given us, this one world order, it's given the West a democratic collapse. That's right, a collapse due to drugs, depopulation, and deindustrialization. That's right. That's what they've done for us. And you can probably figure those out yourself. The drugs, the cartel, you know, all those things that come from Venezuela, however you pronounce it. Depopulation. I told you before that they want to depopulize and take us down to, I think it was like 500,000 in the world. That's crazy. That would be millions and millions of people killed. You better think about that, because how are they going to accomplish that? But I guess if you look at the pandemic that we went through, you'd understand that a little bit, wouldn't you? Yes, you would. And considering all the countries that were involved, especially China, you'd ought to get a picture of what the one world order would be like. I suggest you start paying attention to America, because this is what is coming to us if we don't stand up and get this voting, first of all and foremost, voting straightened out, folks. That's what the global economic system has given us. And as for human rights, well, Canada, Carney running his mouth over there, Canada, ticked off at Trump. Well, Trump has done everything right for us because he's protecting the United States on the north, folks. Carney has become friends, in case you are not aware, because you're not being taught right by the other stations. And I mean news stations, not podcasts. He's became friends with China, and he's offering China places to put some of their military. Now, folks, that's bad. It's bad. Canada lets them in. If something happens and they get up there and they've got military up there, they can shoot a nuke down here like that. Better be thinking about those things, because I hear a lot of people griping, but you don't think about the ramifications. And I, for one, I don't have a dugout, I call it, to go hide in and play my little baseball games. I'm not Mark Zuckerberg. I am certainly not Miss Oprah, who's bought up half of Hawaii. Not anybody. I'd be lucky to find a cave that would let me in. Okay? A cave. That being said, we'd be the ones left out here, folks. Think about it. That's why Trump wants the dome. That's why Trump is trying so hard to have Canada come to their senses and to work with him. And that doesn't mean that Canada has to be another state for the United States. Trump says those things to get y'all going. I have to step back and laugh sometimes, because he says the most ridiculous things, and he's kidding if you know the man and have watched him long enough. And then other times he's being serious. Because why? Because he's trying to protect us. And he can't just come right out and say these things. Too many ramifications for him. And he's already almost been killed and, given his life for us practically. How could you not respect the man? He stood up and said, fight, 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 keep going. And now that's what I'm asking you from the Freedom Podcasters. Fight, fight, fight. Let's keep going. Mark Carney, don't let them in. Or we back everything President Trump has to do. Well, Canada, as for human rights, like I was saying, Canada and Greenland are forced into depopulation, in case you didn't know that, folks. Campaigns carried out by this global economic model, right? So Canada and Greenland are forced into depopulation campaigns carried out by the governments, by their governments, who, by the way, are both monarchies. That's right, I said it, both monarchies. In Greenland, this included girls as young as 13, folks, doing unspeakable, horrible things, all right? And having them done to them with nowhere to turn. That's what the monarchy does. Women, you won't have rights, okay? And there's the final irony of the summation in Davos, when they were saying things, against the United States and against the president. It was a massive display of no kings, right? You gotta laugh at this. You gotta. If they meant it, wouldn't they be helping Greenland away from their destructive monarchy? Just asking. Finland has a monarchy, right? Britain's got a monarchy, right? Sorry, folks, but that's not free. And in case you didn't know this, I'm going to let you in on another little secret. All of Europe, almost all of Europe, pretty much all of Europe, now has where they can't do podcasts like we can. If you say anything negative, even get it on Facebook, folks. If you get on Facebook or some other platform and you decide to say something, or you just write it, to be writing it. If you write something mean or derogatory, or you write something that they just don't agree with, they can now put you in jail, and they are going to people's homes and yanking them out just for saying they don't like something or someone. Say maybe the king. That for starters. King Charles, just throwing that out there. Or perhaps his brother, the one involved with Epstein that they've never really done anything to him, that killed the girl in Australia, that she got on and said she would never unalive herself. I'm sorry, that she would never unalive herself. And guess what? She was found unalived, right? Off from monarchies. Is that what you want? America, open your eyes. We don't want a global system. We don't want to be with the European Union. No, sir, we don't. And this goes way back into our beginning, into 1776, fighting all the way up, folks. From 16, whenever it was that Columbus landed, 1681, something like that, whatever it was, Chuck, 1682, when Columbus landed here. We left tyranny. And we wanted to stand on our own feet, folks. We didn't want to be charged for things to help the king out when he was giving us nothing. We wanted to vote for who was going to be put in front of us, right? Yeah. We wanted to have our own religion, our religion, the religion that we believed in, like Catholicism or I don't know, Lutherans, Protestants, I don't know, anything, okay, that we wanted. But we want to do it with our freedom, ourselves. We didn't want to be told by the King of England of what to do. But that's where we're headed again. That's what England wants. And if you don't know it, you better learn it. And I've only given you a brief history on this. There's so very brief history. Go to Promethean Action. Read. You will learn so much, and your eyes too will be opened. And if you don't want to go there, just stay at my podcast. I'll keep teaching you. I promise. So no, we don't want that. We don't want it. So I suggest that we try to understand a little bit more of why Trump does things, and not necessarily as a nation jump in and think that he wants something just for emeralds, gold, and oil. Okay? You need to think about things, folks. We're too quick to criticize. We never listen. Our mouths run too fast. Our ears never get to hear. Slow down. Take a breath. And listen. Okay? Next thing, and I want to discuss, I said something briefly about it the other night. I just want to touch it again. I'm concerned about this. Again, it has to do with voting, but in a different way. This is about the Chinese in our voting system. Now, we all know that China has infiltrated the United States. And if you don't, you're crazy. All right. They even have their own police stations here, policing the Chinese from inside the United States, which is illegal, by the way. We've already shut one precinct down, or I don't know what they call them, precincts. We've already shut one down in New York. And if you don't believe me, look it up, folks. I can't make this stuff up. Okay. And if that's not bad enough, guess what? They've been sending Chinese over here to have babies. That's right. The CCP. Little Ching Chong Ping. That's what I call him, my little Ching Chong Ping. He sent people over here just to have children. Pop them babies out. You know why? Because they're American citizens then. That's right. And what do they do after the child's born? Unless they have another task to complete that the CCP has told them to do in the United States, they go back to China. Well, all these children that it's happened to, guess what they're doing with them? They're bringing them back to the United States when they turn 18. The first group of these kids will be 18 in 2030. Or 2030, excuse me, in 2030. And they will vote in the very first election. 100,000 a year born here as American citizens. Folks, listen to this. For the past 13 years. Think about that. And you say that's no big deal? Oh, but it is. It's a very big deal. These people can vote. They can do anything in America. They can get in our government. They can take secrets back to China. They can vote. They can vote. They can vote. Guess what? That number can change a presidential election. What does that mean? It means the CCP can come in here and tell those Chinese people who to vote for and to do it and to change our elections without even touching a board, without even touching a computer, without even a ballot. They tell those people, vote for this one, vote for that one. And they can change our whole system like that. And the first election that this is going to be happening in is in 2030. Be afraid, folks. It's happening. It's another thing that we need to change. And that President Trump and everyone need to be aware of. There should be laws that children born in the United States that are not of American citizens, that they have to stay here to be raised, or they are not American citizens. Or this is going to keep happening. And I'm sorry, it has nothing to do with these people per se. It has to do with other people changing our values as Americans. You better think about it, folks, because it's here. It's here. And I'm scared for one person. I'm scared. And if you're not, you better be. Because China's on its way to changing America. And when they do, you think the concentration camps looked bad in the Holocaust? Have you seen what the Chinese people live like and live through? You younger generations, you better start learning, because it ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. And when they take us over, do you think we're going to be at the top of the food chain? We ain't even going to be at the top of the bathroom chain. Okay? We're going to be lucky to have anything but a leaf to wipe our behinds. Better start taking this serious. Another thing that concerns me is the stolen 2020 election, which I've gone through, and I don't have enough time today to finish this, but I want to tell you about it again, and about why Trump wanted Venezuela. It's not what you people keep saying all about the minerals, stealing from the Venezuelan people. It's not about that. It's about so much more. And I just don't have time to go through this all today, because it's going to take another whole podcast. So I'm going to let this go until next time, folks. And then come back to see me, because I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on over there and why Trump wanted Venezuela. And there's 5 very, very, very important reasons, 4 of which have nothing to do with minerals. Last thing that I'm going to bring up, and I'm going to switch books again. I apologize. I wrote too many notes. I write things out because I got a little bit of a fog memory going on. Ever since I had COVID the last time. I've had it 3 times, and the first time I did nothing. Second time I was a little affected. Third time it really affected me, and a little bit of fog memory. So to write things down so I don't forget it all. So forgive me if I'm a flipping and a flopping. But the last thing that I just kind of want to leave you with today, if I can find it here. Let me see here. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. 1 second. Oh, boy. is the cartels. And I'm just going to tell you now, folks, the cartels are still in the United States. Trinidad is still here. The gangs are still here. I want to tell you this that I'm proud of. President Trump got the best job market that he could get this week. Yes, he did. Report. The jobs they thought were going to produce zero. It was like 55,000 jobs or 155,000 jobs that came up. We are in a great time in America right now, folks. Inflation's down. I think they said 4.4 was what they were thinking, and it was like 4.3. Could be off just a little bit, but that's the gist of it. Give the president some time. It's happening. I know things are tough out there for us Americans still, but it's getting better. This stuff has happened over a 50-year period, folks, since after World War II. I'm going to try to teach you all about it, what's going on exactly in America, so you know the specifics behind what's being done by Trump's administration. And not just Trump's administration, the administration of the people to make America great again. Because I'm telling you, folks, we're booming an economy. Inflation's down. These are going to be the golden ages of America, the golden age of America. Enjoy it. But be thankful. Be thankful that this is our country. Be thankful that you're a United States citizen. Be thankful that you have the right to vote. Be thankful that you're protected by a military that none other have ever been like in the history of the world. Be thankful that you have a president that loves the world as much as he loves our country. And be thankful that God has given us an opportunity to work together, to change the United States again for the better, and be thankful most of all, for your family and those everyday freedoms that we take for granted. I'm going to ask you again, which I hate doing, but for algorithms purposes, if you like my podcast, hit a like. Please hit the like button. If you want to subscribe, I want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you to all my new subscribers. I'm working on some special events for you and some special things down the line here. My husband will be joining me off and on, but right now he runs the back part of this. Sorry that you're not seeing him all the time, but Chuck is always here. Also, Hacks is the new organization that Chuck and I are putting together. It's called How About Common Sense, HACS. And I just wanted to let you know, a lot of you have been writing me and asked how that you can join to help, because we want to have a day this year that all, Americans that back our freedoms here and don't want to be involved in these protests that are crazy, get together and show just how America's becoming great again. All across this nation, one day where we all come together. They think they're big. Let's show them how big is big. Too big to rig, baby. That's what we want to do. But Chuck is putting together a website. It will be coming up, and I ask that you join us. Your time will be so valuable to us. Please look for that. I ask you to join. And this has been Chuck and Joe and the Freedom Fighters Podcast. Until next time, my friends, enjoy your freedoms. Good night.